thousands of 5-star Google reviews and an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau, TRA is resolving taxpayers' delinquent tax problems nationwide once and for all. We could significantly reduce and even eliminate what you owe the IRS. If you haven't filed your taxes in years or are already facing collections, we can help. We aren't just some run-of-the-mill tax service company. We specialize in helping individuals and businesses with $10, $50, or even $500,000 in back taxes get speedy resolution. And in many cases, only have to pay back a fraction of what they owe. The IRS isn't going anywhere, and neither is your tax problem. To see what tax relief you qualify for, visit TRA.com or call 800-335-8578. 800-335-8578. Again, that's 800-335-8578. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
The KDKA AccuWeather forecast is brought to you by JP Roofing and Siding, Pittsburgh's #1 Platinum Preferred Roofing Replacement Contractor. Call 412-829-7711.
Today brings some sun and humid conditions with a thunderstorm around into the evening hours, any of which may bring gusty winds and cause ponding on roadways, high 85. Tonight turns out partly cloudy with a low of 62, followed by less humidity and clouds and sun tomorrow, high 82. Then warmer Tuesday with a shower and thunderstorm around, high 87. For AccuWeather, I'm LaTroy Thornton, 100.1 FM and AM 1020 KDKA.
Rob Frax on the voice of Pittsburgh, 100.1 FM and AM 1020 KDKA.
Your Pratt Pack back at it for a Sunday. And we begin talking about the big story. And the big story is the Clairton Coke Works, the explosion, the investigation, 2 dead and injuries. Well, early investigations say a gas valve, an issue, maintenance. Just like a gas line in your own home, things can go wrong quickly. I just want everyone to understand that in life, when you're out doing what these incredible men and women do every day, it's not for the faint of heart. Just like when you're doing work in your own home, and anytime there is a gas line involved, you have to really enter with caution foremost in your mind. That's why we have professionals who do it every day with these public utility companies and these incredible professionals who work at these places like the Clairton Coke Works. I know one thing. Accidents are a part of life. As tragedy as it may be for us to understand who, what, when, where, why, and how, because a lot of this is above our pay grade, for sure. But make no mistake about it, they will get to the bottom of this. And when they do, we will move on to that next step, and we will learn from this. And with the investment from Nippon Steel that is coming into the Mon Valley, it will be safer for future generations. It is a horrible, tragic incident. But when I started to hear about gas valve and gas line, it just took me back to many of those early lessons that my father was teaching me as I was growing up in my household. My dad was a jack of all trades. He had a skill set. He could fix a lot of things with that toolbox, and he would always take time when it came to certain things to go a little bit further. He, too, was the head of a maintenance department in a local manufacturing site for many years, and he learned from his father before him. Gas was one of them. Electricity was the other thing that you have to really be cautious about. So all I know is things happen, horrific as they may be, but we have to understand life will go on, but we will never lose sight of those who had a gallant effort every day when they went to work until that fateful day that their lives were taken. And support continues to pour in for the Mon Valley, and I think we need, as we get ready to spend a Sunday here in the Tri-State together, as we read about it in the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, obviously the latest details here at KDKA Radio, and we embrace the story and show our support with your Pratt Pack on this Sunday morning. Let's never forget what happened that day. Let's do everything we can as those victims are laid to rest and those injured recover to make sure that this never happens again. And I'm not speaking on behalf of Mr. Burritt or the administration of Nippon and U.S. Steel. I'm sure they have the exact same thought process, and they will do everything possible to make sure it never happens again. All right, here's the other story. The president, Volodymyr Zelensky, is coming to the White House tomorrow. He has said, no ceasefire. I want a peace accord. And unless that's what you want to talk about, don't talk to me. So why has he got this thought process? It's very simple. He wants this thing to come to an end. He wants to be done with it. He wants to move on. This president understands now more than ever it's all about the business at hand. Trying to get this country that is the United States back on a solid foundation economically and more importantly, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, because this country, like our roads and bridges, is broken. It has been decades. It has been years and generations of a decay that continues to cripple this region. And now it's starting to affect people where they live under the roof that they call home. And it's starting to spill into the communities that they have been a part of, many of them, their entire life. Like me, I see it every single day. Things that would have never happened. And it took a long time for some of these things to happen, just like these roads and bridges and buildings that have really corroded and faded away and are falling down or need to be knocked down. If we do not let this president start changing things, as far as the big picture is concerned, America will never, ever find its way back. Never. It will never find its way back. And I don't know about you, I still have a lot of great memories of a thriving Main Street in Beaver County, from New Brighton to Rochester to Beaver Falls, Aliquippa, Ambridge, and beyond. And whether you're from the Beaver Valley or the Ohio Valley or the Mon Valley, you exactly understand what I'm talking about if you're old enough. When people were lining the streets, when you had that one night a week when stores were open until 9, people gathered at the local restaurant after their day of worship. They went to the local bakery at the end of the street. They filled up with groceries at that neighborhood grocer. It was a community. It was getting out. It was bonding with the people that you called neighbors. The horrible thing that's happened in this country because of the decay of our infrastructure, people don't communicate anymore. They don't stand shoulder to shoulder on a beautiful Sunday afternoon in August like they used to after church service, getting their morning paper, getting a cup of coffee, a donut at the bakery, and getting caught up with everything, all the gossip in the neighborhood. Now more than ever, America needs to rise from the ashes and get back to the business of communicating. And the president knows we're in a global economy. We need everybody in it. But we also have to stop all of the senseless violence that's happening not only in this world, why he has brought the National Guard to Washington, but the horrific violence that even his wife Melania, with a handwritten note, is saying it's got to end, this senseless killing. Let's get it done. It has been an amazing couple of days. Some very sad stories to report on, for sure, especially the Clairton Coke Works. It still is very difficult for me to wrap my arms around that story in 2025. But when you hear valve and gas line, you understand. You hear stories in residents of people that live in this region, most recently in Plum not too long ago. Things happen. But it's about trying to make sense of it, for sure, investigating it, no doubt. But we've got to get back to the business of moving forward in America. America has never been more deeply in need of positive news. I just want it to happen. We need it to happen. It's long overdue. And I just want it to happen. And we can do it if we work together. Hey, get ready to slay the school year at the 13th Annual Pittsburgh for PPS Back to School event, August the 18th, AccuShore Stadium, from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m., presented by Target Freight Management. Drive-through for backpacks, school supplies, food, drinks while supplies last. Brought to you by GBU Life Insurance, Annuities, and Member Benefits since 1892, and Rugby Realty. All right, it's almost here. It's the second annual KDKA Radio Kickoff Classic live at the Wolverina, Friday and Saturday this week, presented by Allegiant Community Federal Credit Union. North Allegheny versus Woodland Hills, Central Catholic LaSalle College on Friday. And then Saturday, McKeesport, Delaware Valley, Steel Valley, Westinghouse, and Elizabeth Forward and West Mifflin. $13 per ticket or weekend passes, just $25. Get your tickets at KDKA-Radio.com. That sounds like that's going to be a great time. All right, now you can phone in today. Let's get going. Load up these phone lines. We only have the 1 hour of open talk, as we always do on Sunday mornings. 866-391-1020. And if you'd like to go via this route, that's good too. NASCO Roofing, instant access to our shows is a click away. Email us at instantAccess@KDKRadio.com. All right, short break. We'll take a look at some sports. Steelers from preseason action last night. Pirates lost to the Cubs yesterday afternoon at Wrigley. All that and more, and then we're right back at it to take your calls. Your Pratt Pack Sunday morning, KDKA.
Tune in this Sunday morning at 8 for the Coons Cooking Hour with Rob Pratt and the Coons Market team as they discuss favorite potato dishes. It's the Coons Cooking Hour, presented by Coons Market, your hometown Pittsburgh grocer.
News Radio, KDKA, Sports.
Sports brought to you by Coons Market with 8 locations to serve you better. Bucks lost to the Cubs yesterday, 3-1. 2 teams again today at Wrigley. First pitch, 2:20. Here at a 93.7 The Fan. Roman Wilson, second-year wideout for the Pittsburgh Steelers, missed all but a handful of snaps last season, caught 2 passes for 72 yards in a Steelers 17-14 loss to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at Acrisure Stadium. Chase McLaughlin's 42-year-old field goal as time expired snapped that 14-14 tie. Steelers back in preseason action this Thursday against Carolina. BMW Championship through 3 rounds. Robert McIntyre is at 16 under, has a 4-shot lead ahead of the world's number 1, Scotty Scheffler, and the Riverhounds lost to Charleston 2-1 at Highmark Stadium last night. More sports at 937thefan.com.
Gain a global perspective and specialized skills that many of today's top employers are seeking with an MBA from University of Maryland Global Campus. Study online and complete your degree in just 16 months for about $21K. Choose from MBA specializations in global business, marketing, HR, finance, and more. No application fee if you apply by September 3rd. Learn more at umgc.edu. That's umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chev.
I thought I'd book a trip to Italy to celebrate retiring.
We didn't speak Italian.
We didn't then. We do now. Because of Babbel.
Babbel is the refreshingly easy-to-use app for learning a new language. Babbel uses immersive lessons to teach you vocabulary and grammar in a way that sticks. Save up to 50% on your Babbel subscription when you sign up at Babbel.com. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
The KDKA radio text line is driven by Kenny Ross Auto Group. Find your best deal and Pittsburgh's best warranty at KennyRoss.com.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6481. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6481. That's 800-575-6481. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Listen to KDKA Radio on the Odyssey, iHeartRadio, or TuneIn apps.
Hear about it, then talk about it. 100.1 FM and AM 1020. KDKA.
All right, here we go, right to the phones with your Pratt Pack. But don't forget, if you know someone in your community who's done something extraordinary in the past year, nominate them now at KDKRadio.com to be honored at this year's Larry's Hometown Heroes event. All right, here's Ken, Lower Borough. Hey, Kenny, good morning.
Hey, good morning. Last week I did talk about, I had addressed somebody being hit by a vehicle and being drugged. Your station did find it and covered it on KDKA TV2. The guy was an illegal alien. Another thing that I had brought up prior was the 2 mayoral candidates running. They did address the nonprofits in the city, and they would have to address seeing how, if they could help the city financially in some way. I don't know. They didn't come out with plans on it, but they both talked about it. I don't know what they're going to do yet. But other than that, I wanted to talk a little bit about just watching all these Democratic channels and the Republican channels that are covering this Putin meeting with Trump, how opposite they both were. And all I ask is, if you have an idea, the Democrats at this point in time, all they have to do is if Trump says something, all they have is to oppose. A sixth grader can see what they're doing. Come up with a solution to the problem. And no one, Trump must have something down up his sleeve. I mean, I even could think of something to at least bring to the bargaining table to stop this war. And it would end, and I've talked to people, even Democrats at this point, they address two things. The Ukrainian war is key for them. They just want it to stop, and they don't care how. We need to keep supplying Ukraine. And they even addressed the alien problem in this country. They know that there's not enough work. Too many illegals here, and they want them out. But they don't want to do it the way Trump is doing it. So I came up with a solution, which is going to be very controversial. If they arrest criminal illegal aliens and they have to be deported, deport them to their Ukraine. If they need boots on the ground in Ukraine, they'll draft them coming off the plane, and they can fight. And that would solve two problems, because you'd have people that would migrate the other way now out of this country. And nobody's heard this solution. I mean, I thought of it the other day. I just said, this is going to be something to think about. Let them think about this. If you're an illegal between 18 and 55, you're getting a plane ticket to Ukraine. And they'll make a decision one way or the other.
All right, buddy. I appreciate the call. Have a great day. Let's go to Jack. Jack, good morning. You're on KDKA. All right, let's go to Ted. Good morning, Ted. You're on KDKA. How are you, sir?
What's going on, Rob?
I'll tell you, it's another day in paradise.
There you go.
I got to say one thing. Don't you just love warm summer mornings? I was driving in today, Ted, and I was thinking, I've been doing this for 40 years, really over 40, since 1984. Coming in early on a Saturday, you see people starting to move around. I usually leave my house about 3:30 or so, and it's just you savor these mornings, because it won't be long before there'll be snow on the ground, and it'll be bitterly cold, and leaves will be falling from the trees. But I do appreciate these warm summer mornings.
Well, when you get up and you stand on your back porch and the air smells real sweet.
Yep.
That's when you know it's going to be a great day.
Absolutely going to be a great day. All right, what's on your mind?
Real quick about Zelensky. Look, I hope he has an interpreter this time. He needs to not directly engage with the president. He needs a buffer. The first meeting was horrible. To me, it was nothing but a setup, but he has to have an interpreter. The English is not his first language, but at the same time, you need to protect yourself. I'll be honest, Rob. I hope the president can get it done, but I just don't see it. In order for Ukraine and Russia to really, even the EU to really get something together, you're going to have a security agreement. That means you're going to have foreign troops on, in Ukraine, serve as a buffer. Somebody's going to have to be in the middle. And Putin's not going to go for that, but that's going to have to happen. And if you do get agreement, Ukraine's going to have to be armed to the teeth. You basically is almost like a Cold War. That's the only way that's going to work. You got to get that kind of security agreement. And we got to back Ukraine. We have to give them the weapons, whatever we got to do. And Putin's not going to like that, but that's, to me, that's the only way you're going to have it. And the Europeans, you can't leave them out, because the worst case scenario, that we do get agreement, it collapses, okay, or we pull out. Well, like I told you about Macron, if the French go in or anybody goes in, you can forget it. We'll be sending troops back to Europe. So either way, the president, to me, he has to be serious about this, because he's playing with fire. And if it screws up, this is going to absorb his whole administration. And I don't know. I hope I'm wrong, but I just don't see upside to this.
This is my thought process. I don't think this guy knows anything but fighting. I think that's what he is. He's a street fighter. And if you give him Crimea or you give him any land, he'll settle in for a while and then he'll take on someone else. And he has a very short memory. I just think he only knows one way, and that's full throttle. That's my opinion.
Well, he wants to be the last czar. Okay, this is what Putin wants. You got to remember, Putin did with 5 presidents from Clinton on. And pretty much, he ate all of them like a sandwich. The man knows what he's doing. He knows how to set people up. He knows how to trauma. I mean, the first what George W. Bush, when he said, "I can see your soul." I mean, all this stuff. And to me, it's the lessons of the Cold War that's never been learned. Ever since, George H. Bush, from Clinton on, you talk about a generation for some reason has not learned the lessons of the Cold War, has not learned how the Soviet Union was. And I just can't understand that. That history is relevant. I'll give you even a better example. When former President Obama and Romney, when they was asked the question, who was the greatest threat to the United States? Obama said Al-Qaeda, and Romney said Russia. And to me, that's a generational shift in the sense that for some reason, this generation hasn't studied the Cold War, hasn't learned anything, and we had a false sense when our wall came down in Germany that everything was over. We never had to worry about Russia again. And this shift to China, when Obama said we got to do that Asian pivot, to me was one of the biggest mistakes this country ever made. And still making the mistakes. We do not know how to engage with the world anymore. And I'll never forget what George W. Bush said after 9/11, when he was leaving office. What's your biggest fear? He said isolationism. And he's 1,000% right, because that's where we are right now.
Well, listen, it's scary. And I was just thinking about George W. Bush. We could use a little of that patriotism right now for sure. Teddy, I got to get to a break. I appreciate you very much. We'll be here all week. Cynthia in Florida, we'll get to her on the other side. Anybody else want to jump in here? Now would be a perfect time to do that. 866-391-1020. As always, you can listen to us at 100.1 FM, AM 1020 KDKA, or on the Odyssey app, AUDACY. You can also watch us online, KDKA video stream presented by Metropolitan Window Company. Just go to KDKRadio.com and click on KDKA Radio Livestream. Or now you can watch us by going to our KDKA Radio YouTube page to watch everything we are doing in the studios. CBS Radio News is next, and then we'll be back. More of our Sunday Fun Day on KDKA with your Pratt Pack.
What is your next success story? At University of Maryland Global Campus, you can succeed again with more than 135 affordable online degrees and certificates to help you move your career forward. From cybersecurity and AI to healthcare and MBA, our programs help you build critical thinking, leadership, and communication skills that set you apart in today's job market. Apply now and save with no application fee through September 3rd. Visit umgc.edu to get started. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chev.
I'm Ultima Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Every time one of my children started driving, it was terrifying. I am quite aware of the dangers being on the road. Thousands of accidents happen across the country. We see it every day. These families' lives will be changed in an instant. We fight for these families as if they were our own. We've become America's largest injury law firm by winning cases just like these. If you've been injured in a car accident, call us.
Injured? Dial Pound Law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Summer's in Pittsburgh, and if you hate to paint, do what your neighbor Judy did. She called Rhino Shield.
After having the house painted with kind of usual house paint, I was seeing cracks appearing about every 3 years and just wasn't very satisfied with that.
Rhino Shield's a ceramic coating specifically formulated for our unique climate.
I can't speak highly enough about the Rhino Shield crew. They also were great at working with me to get the exact right color because I was very particular.
And right now you can get the guaranteed protection of Rhino Shield for 10% off the regular price. Plus, there's more great news. Rhino Shield has partnered with Green Sky Financing to offer affordable monthly payments with 0% interest loans to qualified customers.
I would not hesitate to call Rhino Shield and and recommend Rhino Shield to my friends and neighbors and family.
Here's Rhino Shield Shane Smith.
Call me at 888-RHINO-41. That's 888-RHINO-41.
Don't paint. Go Rhino.
Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Tune in to 1020 KDKA Radio for Medical Frontiers with Dr. Gerald Pfeiffer from the Allegheny Health Network every Monday from 7 to 8 p.m. Dr. Pfeiffer and his special guests will cover the information that you want to know about your health and the latest trends in medicine.
It's Marty Griffin. I have seen so much angst and anger these days that, you know what's overwhelmed me with joy and optimism? This Get Marty. The folks in this community that have stepped up. You can't help your neighbor if you hate your neighbor. Get Marty epitomizes that opportunity to help people, feed people, clothe people, educate people. If you need me, get Marty at KDKRadio.com.
Get Marty is presented by Phil DeLuceni and Associates, Levin Furniture, UPMC Health System, CNS Construction, John Keefe Restaurant Group of Oakmont, and by Robert Pierce and Associates. From the Aetna Studios.
Proud to be the voice of Pittsburgh. 100.1 FM and AM 1020 KDKA.
CBS News Brief. In Washington, continuing protests over the deployment of 800 D.C. National Guard troops.
What's going on here is unconstitutional, illegal, immoral, wrong.
The governors of West Virginia, South Carolina, and Ohio now say they'll deploy hundreds of their National Guardsmen to the nation's capital over the coming days. Diplomatic sources tell CBS News that in his talks with President Trump in Alaska Friday, Russian leader Vladimir Putin continued to demand territory in eastern Ukraine that his troops haven't even captured yet. Fordham journalism professor and former CBS News Moscow bureau chief Beth Noble.
This is a big ask for Ukraine, possibly a deal breaker.
The Canadian government has forced the 10,000 striking Air Canada flight attendants back to work and into arbitration. Here's CBS's Ali Bauman.
Air Canada told the government it will take up to 10 days to restore full service.
CBS News Brief. I'm Christopher Cruz.
Planning a vacation can be fun, but don't get taken by service fees and processing fees. SWAC Vacations lets you book direct. SWAC owns its own properties. The price you see is the price you pay. Michael Bartley here. My friend Jeff is the owner of SWAC, and you can trust you're going to get the best deal possible. That means more money for your family trip to Myrtle Beach, a luxury lodge in Deep Creek, or that massive Outer Banks house with room for everyone. Book direct. Save at SWACvacations.com. That's SWACK Vacations.com.
The KDKA AccuWeather forecast is brought to you by JP Roofing and Siding, Pittsburgh's #1 Platinum Preferred Roofing Replacement Contractor. Call 412-829-7711.
Today brings some sun with the risk for a thunderstorm through the evening. Any storm may bring ponding on roadways and gusty winds with a high of 85. Then some clouds tonight, low 62, followed by a mix of sun and clouds tomorrow, high 82. Tuesday brings a shower and thunderstorm and warmer conditions with some sun, high 87. For AccuWeather, I'm meteorologist LaTroy Thornton, 100.1 FM and AM 1020 KDKA.
Let me vamp here a little bit, just in case Mr. Fulbright calls in, first alert forecast, and then I'll get to Cynthia. I don't want to have to interrupt her and then get him on. So let me just kind of vamp for a few minutes, and then we'll see if he calls. If not, within a couple, I'll get Cynthia on the line. Anybody else who wants to jump in here, feel free. 866-391-1020. All right, here's what we have coming up today. Next hour, obviously, Tech Vibe Radio, Audrey Russo, Jonathan Kirsting. 7 o'clock, Doug is back in the air chair, our organic gardener. 8 o'clock, we're talking veggies from the garden and vegetables with Frank Dentisi on the Coons Cooking Hour. And then today at 9 o'clock, we've got Just Carlos. You know him from Greater Pitt Tree Service. We're going to be talking about big trees. Are they a blessing in disguise or are they a problem in disguise? We'll look at it from both angles, give you a chance to phone in and get all your tree-related questions answered. 10 o'clock, Accurate Solutions. And then it's the Coons Market Black and Gold Sunday Show. Pirates taking on Chicago this weekend in the Windy City. We'll talk some Bucco baseball and the future and why the Pirates need to secure some bats moving forward. Got the pitching, they need the bats. But we'll also look back at the Steelers' 17-14 loss as time ran out. A field goal was kicked. Tampa Bay beat them 17-14. Harmon looked good. The rookie, Roman Wilson, who missed most of last year with an injury, looked really good. Over 70 receiving yards. Looked really strong last night. He could be that second receiver that they're looking for as opposed to going out and picking up someone to go along with DK Metcalf. And they have mentioned the possibility of Odell Beckham Jr., who had some really good years with the New York Giants back in the day. So we've got a lot of football to get to today, lots of stuff we're going to be talking about. So I hope that you will tune in today for the Coons Market Black and Gold Sunday show. All right, we're going to spend a few moments here with Trey Fulbright, then we'll get Cynthia on the line. I would love to hear from you today. If you got anything on your mind, 866-391-1020. Trey, good to have you back today. And I was just telling a caller, these are the mornings that you savor because it won't be long before the leaves start to fall from the trees and Jack Frost is nipping at our nose. So embrace what we have left as far as summer. Really a nice summer morning today, correct?
Yeah, it's a pretty nice morning, fairly warm temperatures, a little muggy out and about as well. We do have a chance for some rain and thunderstorms this afternoon. Won't be a very high chance, but that's what that moisture in the air will lead us to.
You know, we had so much rain here a month or so ago, and it's like somebody shut the spigot off. So what's the 5-day look like? Is there going to be any moisture in the air to help our lawns that have kind of gone dormant?
Yeah, Rob, we've actually made some changes to the upcoming 5-day forecast here. We do have that chance for some rain today. Again, scattered midday and early afternoon and evening thunderstorms. Tomorrow and Tuesday are trending drier, and originally in the forecast it was looking like Tuesday and the Wednesday we'd have a better chance for rain, but that front that was supposed to come in Tuesday and the Wednesday is starting to look a little weaker, so we may not benefit as much from that, but we'll still put a low chance for a few showers and storms in Tuesday and Wednesday, and then we'll dry out and heat up again towards the end of the week.
All right, sounds good. And yeah, believe it or not, 2 weeks away from Labor Day weekend. So we'll get caught up with you next week. Have a great week, and we'll be looking forward to you on television today. KDKA with the First Alert forecast throughout the morning, okay?
All right, have a good one.
All right, there he goes, Trey Fulbright. Yeah, you know, I do love Sunday mornings here at the radio station, but, you know, I just love Sunday morning. There's something special about it. And honestly, I was thinking today, driving into work, you know, I've been doing this a long time, and it's going to be less as opposed to more. And I wonder if I'm going to be like my dad, still getting up early, even when I don't have to get up early. You know, I have never slept in on a weekend since the mid-'80s. I mean, that's crazy when you think about it, because weekends are meant for a little extra sleep, right? And I never have. And I think about all those years I was doing sports and, you know, as far as in Ohio and West Virginia and television, there were times I was going on like 1 hour of sleep. I don't know how in the world I ever did that. Now, honestly, because I don't do it every day like I did many years filling in for, you know, the morning show, doing sports, you know, Cygnus show, all this other stuff that I would do, the overnight show. But, you know, when you only do it 2 days a week and that's enough, it's hard to kind of, you know, go to bed at 8 o'clock at night. So you're still up till like 11 o'clock at night. And then you get a couple of hours. And then when you live alone, you got a couple of alarms set on your phone because that's the biggest fear of sleeping through an alarm. And that's happened to me a couple of times in my career. It's a horrible feeling. And I woke up last night and I'd just fallen asleep about 11:30 and I woke up at 12:30. And for some reason, I was thinking it was like, you know, whatever. And I was like, you could, that clammy feeling, the sweat, and right away then you realized, oh, it's good. I got a couple of hours left. And one thing about doing this show, and I'll take this with me the rest of my life. This is something John Cigna told me many years ago. If you only get 20 minutes of sleep before you put your head down, you tell yourself this is going to be the greatest 20 minutes of sleep you've ever had. And you know, it works. Many nights, you know, an hour and a half, 2 hours, I would brush my teeth, you know, put the old pajamas or gym trunks on and psych myself into like, I'm going to get this great night of sleep. And I'll never forget the first time I did it. I was driving into work going, Cigna, you lied to me. You lied to me. No, but it really does. It works. But I will say all the years of getting up, especially when the moon's still out and it's a warm summer morning, it's pretty special rolling through the neighborhood and getting up on the highway and getting into work. All right, here we go. Now we're ready to talk to Cynthia in Florida. Cynthia, good morning. And what is on your mind today?
Well, I called to talk about Ukraine, but first thing, if you don't have a good arborist, large trees are dangerous. Because I had an elm tree when I was in Pittsburgh. It was beautiful, and I'm looking at the bark. I'm thinking, wait a minute, what's going on with the tree? I called a guy. Elm borers of some sort had infested the tree. I had to pay $1,500 to get that tree removed because if I hadn't, it would have just collapsed. It was completely dead from within. And this is happening to trees all over the place because cities don't engage the services of an arborist.
Well, I really love what Carlos does, Greater Pitt Tree Service. I hope more people listening right now will call in with questions because he's here, a couple of times a month, and he answers all these questions. But, I don't think people really know how to approach their trees. But what you just said is the most important thing. These trees are so large and heavy, and many of them basically are, massive to where they're way above the roof line. And with a slight wind or whatever, or a thunderstorm, lightning, it can do like irreparable damage. And more importantly, it can take someone's life or the lives of people. So you really got to stay on top of this stuff.
Yeah, and I had a large pine tree when I lived in Georgia. They're called lollipop pines or something. And my husband and I noticed one looked different. We called a guy. He said, it's getting ready to fall. And that tree was like 60 foot tall.
Well, let me tell you what I just did to my little house in Monaca. And I know you're familiar with Monaca, but I live down close to the river, not on the river, but... So I finally bought this house a couple of years ago that I've been renting for a long time. And I just said this was going to be the year. I took out everything. I mean, there's very little, if any, foliage left. And what 2 trees I have, one a dogwood, one a Japanese maple, they're trimmed up. They're taken care of. I had some stumps removed. And honestly, at my age, this is what I want. A little bit of grass to cut, a little bit of mulch to lay. Yard work, honest to goodness gracious, my dad had poplar trees, maple trees, a garden. Yeah. I don't know how he did that, but you know how he did it? He worked 8 hours. He knew what his schedule was going to be. He didn't work overtime, and he got a chance to come home, and that was his therapy. But I see these people who have these massive, weeping willow trees and all this other stuff. Who takes care of all that stuff?
Yeah, nature.
Absolutely. Well, that's what happens. They get overgrown. And listen, you know as well as I do, it's not cheap to get that stuff done. Anyway, what's on your mind today?
And secondly, people in my family do know if I fall asleep in the afternoon, do not wake me from a nap.
Well, you know what, Cynthia, listen.
I am a nasty person if you wake me up from a nap in the afternoon.
Well, explain this to me.
I don't know why.
And I don't know if this is a sign of getting old, but when I did this show for years, and you know how many years I was here and all the different hours I worked, I could go home on the weekends and I could actually sleep until I went to church or went out with some friends. I can't nap anymore when I go home.
I can. If I've just been doing too much, about 20 minutes, I'm good. But if you wake me up from that, it is a disaster. Now,
yes,
Ukraine.
Yep.
Ted needs to go back and read Bush Senior's. They called it the Chicken Kiev speech when he said we should not be involved in their nationalistic wars, and that's the mistake we've made. And and Zelensky now is transferring money out of Ukraine monthly into banks in the United Arab Emirates. He knows his time is up. And then Ted mentioned something about 9/11. Yesterday, Israel's cybersecurity chief, Adam Adronovich, was arrested in Las Vegas for trying to procure the sexual services of a girl under the age of 16.
Oh, geez.
He was allowed to go back to Israel, just like the people who were arrested for celebrating the Twin Towers on fire in New York. They were allowed to go back to Israel. What kind of country are we living in if these people do this stuff and are allowed to leave? Look up the story about Las Vegas. And he's the cybersecurity chief?
I did not see that story, but I will follow up.
Oh, okay. And by the way, Russia lost 27 million people defeating the Nazis. This is how World War II was won, not by the United States, by them. I haven't forgotten them. I'm never going to forget. They defeated the Nazis. And now even people, the Azov soldiers in Ukraine, have come out and said, this war is lost. The territory that Russia has gained, they're keeping it. So we need to stop this militarism because it's getting us nowhere, but we'll become a pariah nation. I hate that it's happening, but I see it happening. Fred Hansberg and I talked about this years ago.
I remember.
I said, this is a mistake. Thanks, man.
All right, Cynthia, have a great day. Look, I'm going to continue to stand for Israel. I'm not going to judge Israel because of allegedly what she was talking about. I haven't seen that story. And you can't give Putin anything. You can't. I mean, he just needs to go back And not that we need to be involved in the war itself, but we got to find a way to get it resolved and bring it to an end. Enough already. Anybody else wants to jump in here? Been a busy first hour. A couple of more minutes left in this opening hour in which you have a chance to phone in. And then we'll get into some great programming that'll take us all the way until 1 o'clock this afternoon. Got that news coming up at the top of the hour. So keep it right here. Your Pratt Pack on a Sunday morning at KDKA.
The KDKA Mobile News Fleet is driven by Jim Shorkey Kia, North Huntington and Wexford. JimShorkeyKia.com.
News Radio, KDKA, Sports.
Sports brought to you by Coons Market with 8 locations to serve you better. Bucks lost to the Cubs yesterday 3-1. 2 teams again today at Wrigley. First pitch 2:20 here at a 93.7 The Fan. Roman Wilson, second-year wideout for the Pittsburgh Steelers, missed all but a handful of snaps last season, caught 2 passes for 72 yards in a Steelers 17-14 loss to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at Acrisure Stadium. Chase McLaughlin's 42-year-old field goal as time expired snapped that 14-14 tie. Steelers back in preseason action this Thursday against Carolina. BMW Championship through 3 rounds. Robert McIntyre is at 16 under, has a 4-shot lead ahead of the world's #1 Scotty Scheffler, and the Riverhounds lost to Charleston 2-1 at Highmark Stadium last night. More sports at 937thefan.com.
Hey folks, NASCO Roofing, the region's roofing leader, continues to exceed customer expectations. Carol from Pittsburgh praised NASCO Roofing for their quality workmanship and the timely manner NASCO completed her new roof. She loved how friendly and easy NASCO Roofing was to work with. NASCO has satisfied thousands like Carol. Get NASCO on your roof next. Call NASCO Roofing, 412-373-2000, 412-373-2000. Most jobs done in a day. Special financing available. NASCO Roofing, NASCO.
What is life-changing medicine? The discovery of cancer at the earliest possible stage, challenging limits and transforming the impossible into reality, or connecting people to doctors and specialists when they need it most. At UPMC, we believe life-changing medicine is all those things. Our goal is to change the world of medicine and the lives of those around us. UPMC, changing healthcare, changing lives. Life-changing medicine.
Do you owe $10,000 or more in credit card debt or personal loans? With credit card debt at all-time highs, Debt Relief Advocates is urgently notifying consumers of debt relief now being made available, designed to aid consumers with out-of-control credit card debt. Those who qualify and enroll for this relief program will only have to pay back a fraction of what they owe. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. This is a relief program that credit card companies would rather you not know about, as it ends your debt nightmare and saves you lots of money. Consumers owing at least $10,000 in credit card debt or personal loans can now take advantage of this debt relief as the cost of living skyrockets. Debt Relief Advocates has established a relief hotline for you to call to learn what debt reduction you may qualify for, so don't wait. For this free information, call the Relief Hotline at 800-525-7718, 800-525-7718, 800-525-7718.
The voice of Pittsburgh. 100.1 FM and AM 1020. KDKA.
All right, right back at it. Busy first hour. Lots of folks wanting to talk, so let's get out to Oakland and give Anthony a chance. Anthony, good morning. Welcome to KDKA.
What Cynthia has to understand, Americans, most Americans, don't have a problem with the Russian people. We have a problem with Putin. Putin is ex-KGB, murderous thug, period. So, I mean, she harps on this issue about Ukraine. Let's be very clear what happened with Ukraine. And the United States and the Europeans are at fault. They had nuclear weapons. Did you know that at one time?
Yes.
The United States and Europe asked them to dismantle their nuclear weapons, get rid of them, and they would be responsible for the security. They did that. And here comes Russia now. If they would have stayed a nuclear country, then Russia wouldn't have invaded them. This is similar to what happened to Gaddafi. The United States and of course Israel wanted Gaddafi to eliminate his nuclear program. He did. What was his reward? His country was invaded. A so-called a rebellion that was brought up by the CIA and, unfortunately, Mrs. Clinton and Obama. Where's he at now? He and his family, which their country had done more for their people than any country in the world at that time. Where's he at now? He's dead. So what are we talking here? Yes, the Russian people, my mother, when I was a child, told me, yes, the United States doesn't win World War II if it wasn't for the Russians. We love the Russian people. You don't like the government. Thanks.
All right, Anthony, thank you. Yeah, look, I've been saying for the longest time, if the Russian people really knew what was going on, because they don't. It's not like you can complain all you want about media in this country. You can say it's too far to the right, too far to the left, but at least we get the story. Is it always 100% accurate? No, nothing is. But Russia, those folks, they don't get anything. Nothing. Zilch, nada. Look, I believe that when many of these soldiers get to come home, and let me explain another reason why Putin doesn't want this war to end. When many of these soldiers get a chance to come home and they start telling the real story, I think Putin could be in trouble as far as having that position that he's held for such a long time with an iron fist. I think he could be removed. And, when you think that Gorbachev was the only standing leader in Russia in my lifetime, and maybe forever, that actually left upright without somebody either taking him out or supposedly dying, right, of natural causes, wink, wink, hint, hint. I mean, even the most adored Russian leaders, Stalin, talking World War II, they all end up with a huge, tragic ending. What was he, poisoned? It's scary. It's a job that, it's like once you're in, you're in. And the only way you're getting out is in a coffin when they carry you out, right? Putin has found a way. He is shrewd. And as Anthony mentioned, he's a thug. And I don't even like using that word, but it's the only way to describe him. KGB, he's just a nasty individual. And he was playing it up like Shakespeare in Alaska, just really playing it up big time. But, man, you can't give this guy territory. And another reason why I don't think he's going to quit fighting, because he knows if he does, look, it's 2025. There is social media. There are smartphones. There is this thing called the internet. Satellites. There's a way. One of the ways that we won that war is when we started dumping propaganda, which, they did in Nazi Germany. We did it basically a little bit of reverse psychology and started to tell the people of that part of the world what was going on. And it was Russia who annihilated Nazi Germany, basically took it down, finished the job on that Russian army, on that German army, and stopped Hitler in his tracks. And if not for them and their just spirited effort, it probably would have went on longer. There's no doubt about that. But now we have to find a way to use technology to get propaganda into Russia to let the Russian people know what really is going on there. Because I think that it's the secret weapon. I think that is, because if Putin goes, the next person in line who's going to try to rebuild Russia to get the Russian people on his side, they got to start turning some rubles, making some money, making life better in Russia. And if they don't, they're not going to be there very long. So the last thing they want to do is have any more incidents happen in this war, because what they can do when these troops come back, that's why I also think he's going to go one way or the other. Because when these troops come back and they start telling the tale of what really happened in that part of the world, it's not going to be good. It's not going to be good. So I think the best strategy would be for Putin to end it with fingers crossed, hoping for the best, giving him nothing, whether he thinks he deserves it or not. Let him go back to rebuild the economy, maybe kind of give him, a few pieces of the pie to get it started again. This guy's lost major Fortune 500 companies. When you lose some of these oil, like British Petroleum and Exxon, that's crippling stuff, especially in a place, they don't have Tesla chargers. They're not in the modern era. So I think he's got more to lose than he realizes, but he's too smart to not realize what he has got. He's got nothing. He's got no ace in the deck. The only way he gets out of this is just crawling out of it with what little he has left and start doing deals to pump up the economy and start pounding the press with that, because he's telling them what to do now. But if the Russian people, if this thing just ends and these soldiers come back, it's a crapshoot. He's just got to hope for the best, because if they come back and start spilling their guts, and especially, you got to realize, these countries are really connected by blood. There are a lot of people that are related to each other on both sides of the border. That's what makes this story so horrific. That's what makes this story so sad. That's why it just breaks my heart that we're dealing with this, because I know this is family member killing family member. And we, because of the media and the lockdown, we don't have reporters there like we did in Iraq and Baghdad during that whole Desert Storm thing. We don't have that. You know, you can say what you want about CNN and call them the liberal network, but I think they did an incredible job. That was a unique time. And to have Larry King in the mix, I mean, this was like years and years and decades ago, but it really gave us all and the world an understanding of what was going on. It's too bad that CNN can't find a way to get in there to do more of this stuff for CBS or ABC. You can say what you want about mainstream media, but these networks are needed. I still go to CBS News every day because they're reliable. And I think if somehow, some way, the real story of this war could get back to the Russian people, I think the days for Vladimir Putin are numbered. I think he came here to basically put up a smokescreen to show the Russian people at least he's trying to end it. I don't think he has any intention of ending it, and I think we're going to find that out tomorrow, and they're going to put it on Zelensky because, you know, he's not going to do what they want. He's not going to give over any territory. But I agree with the president. It can't be no ceasefire. Ceasefires don't last. The last one didn't last. I mean, they said ceasefire, and Putin was at it within like a matter of an hour. So we got to have a peace accord. This thing's got to end because it's the right thing to do. It's the humane thing to do. And you've got innocent women and children and people that are dying every day. Look, when you're a soldier, you sign up for that, and it's horrific, and it's ugly, and it's terrible. But when innocent women and children are being killed, even Melania Trump gave him that letter. I thought that was a great indication of what I've been saying about her. She is the rock, I think, when it comes to what's going on in that White House. And it's one of the reasons why this guy, meaning our president, is able to do what he does. And I've caught a lot of interviews since that meeting with Zelensky, and it wasn't as though the president was tiptoeing around the conversation. He was really putting down some very tough, and strict standards that he wanted to be abided by Russia. So I think the Russian people could be the ace in the deck for us. We just need to find a way to get them the story. All right, Rob Taylor coming up with the news. We'll be back in an hour with Doug, the Organic Garden, and we'll kick off our Sunday morning of our Pittsburgh Works programming today with your Pratt Pack on KDKA.
The Big K Morning Show with Larry Richards.
KDKA TV, Barry Pintar. And as we get ready to transition to the fall, you did a story that involves Pittsburgh brewing.
We saw on the line coming out the Blockhouse Pumpkin Ale, which has just exploded in popularity. It's like the #1 pumpkin ale in this part of the country right now.
Weekday mornings 5:30 to 10 on the Voice of Pittsburgh. 100.1 FM and AM 1020. KDKA.
Have you been told there is nothing that can be done for your neuropathy? Tri-State Neuropathy Centers is pleased to tell you that's not true. As one of the largest and most successful neuropathy treatment practices in the country, Tri-State Neuropathy Centers has grown to 9 regional centers and helped over 14,000 patients, like Bill from Mars. Bill's neuropathy got so bad he couldn't sleep due to the pain and was losing his balance, causing him to have frequent falls. Then Bill found Tri-State Neuropathy Centers. Their effective FDA-approved treatment program greatly improved Bill's neuropathy, and now he's sleeping through the night, can feel his feet again, and has no more pain. Listen to Bill's complete story at marydanston.com. Tri-State Neuropathy Centers help Bill, along with thousands of others. Let them help you next. Call 724-940-9000. That's 724-940-9000. Tri-State Neuropathy Centers, the leader in treating peripheral neuropathy.
New to Medicare, get covered with MediConnect. Listen Wednesdays around 1:40 to hear Lance O'Brien of MediConnect help you navigate the Medicare process. Simply great, unbiased information to get you the best healthcare coverage. Get covered with MediConnect. Medicare made simple.
Listen to KDKA Radio on the Odyssey, iHeartRadio, or TuneIn apps.
KDKA and KDKA-FM HD2 Pittsburgh. W261AX Pittsburgh.
Always live on the free Odyssey app. From the Aetna Studios.
Proud to be the voice of Pittsburgh. 100.1 FM and AM 1020 KDKA.
It is 72 degrees at Pittsburgh International at 6 o'clock. I'm Rob Taylor. A man is dead following a crash involving two motorcycles in Fayette County. Crash happened Saturday morning at the intersection of Route 21 and Lek Road and High House Road in McClellantown. Two motorcycles were involved. One of the motorcyclists, 25-year-old Delbert Valentine Jr., died at the scene. The cause of the crash is under investigation. The driver, who's accused of hitting a man with his vehicle in Uptown early Saturday morning, has been identified. Police say 34-year-old Kamal Prasad Upreti appeared to have been under the influence of alcohol when he allegedly struck a man near 5th Avenue and Marion Street around 2:30 Saturday morning. That man later died at the hospital. Police say bystanders caught up with Upreti, who tried to flee the scene. Those bystanders held Upreti until police arrived. Upreti is in the Allegheny County Jail facing multiple charges this morning. Pittsburgh police have announced that a 16-year-old is being charged with the mass shooting that occurred in East Liberty's Garland Park back in June. Aaron Reddix was arrested a few days after the shooting that left 4 people wounded in East Liberty. Police caught up with Reddix after he was allegedly involved in a carjacking on June 27th. That car crashed along Route 65. In that incident, police found guns that matched shell casings found in the East Liberty shooting. Reddix is currently in the Allegheny County Jail. Penn State University has suspended a fraternity for a minimum of 4 years following an investigation into hazing allegations. The Phi Beta Sigma fraternity was suspended after the university says it received credible reports of hazing that included physical and mental abuse, along with forced physical activity. Penn State also said students in the fraternity are facing misdemeanor charges under state law that was enacted after a student died in 2017 following hazing incidents by a university fraternity. One Uber driver and his passenger are safe after escaping from armed carjackers who had put a tree branch on the road to get the driver to stop. Here's the story from CBS News reporter Christopher Cruz.
In Lancaster, Massachusetts, 33-year-old Esmelki Acevedo was about to drop off his last passenger of the night when he saw the branch. When he got out of his car to move it, 2 men jumped out of the woods and ran to the car, the passenger still inside.
I don't know if they want to rob us, but what I can see is they just want the car so bad.
One of the men jumped into the driver's seat, pointed a gun at the passenger, and demanded her cell phone. Acevedo pulled the man out of the seat, regained control of the car, and sped away with his passenger. Police say the branch in the road was a setup. Christopher Cruz, CBS News.